Okay, so I'm wondering if we have sound now. And okay, we have sound. Wonderful. So, welcome. I'm at Insight Retreat Center today. IMC's Retreat Center in Santa Cruz County in California, and I'm teaching here for the week. And so I want to. So this is the place for which I'll do the broadcasting. And happy to be here. Maybe end of the week we can zoom out or zoom around and you can see the meditation hall a little bit more, for those of you who would like. And also we have here 3 people attending. You know, all these years that I've been doing YouTube from IMC, there's always been alone. A couple of times one person came, a technician came, one of our Sangha members who helps a lot with it. And here we have 2 of the resident volunteers at IRC and one of the big volunteers who comes here to help. And so they're sitting here in the meditation hall with me. And so it's nice to have company here. So welcome to the beginning of the week. And last week we did a series of teachings on different ways of being aware. And for this day, I would like to suggest another variation on awareness that can apply to all the different other ways that you're aware. But that is to the choice between letting the awareness be very light and having awareness being, I don't know if heavy is the right word, but a little bit more intense or serious or weighty. And sometimes the idea of lightness, kind of like awareness has a very light touch for what it's being aware of, can be very helpful, because anything more than a light touch can be sometimes too much effort being made. And the art of effort is to have a light touch, a lightness to the effort, but to be committed to it, so it's continuous and really stay there. And so a light touch, and a light touch with how awareness touches the breathing, the sensations of breathing. A light touch in how we know it, in the knowing of the sensations. If there's mental noting, a light touch with the noting. So that'll be the kind of the addition to the meditation this morning. So to take a comfortable, alert posture, and to gently close your eyes. And to take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Exhaling, relaxing on the exhale. And the part of us, what can be nice with taking a few deep breaths at the beginning, is that when you stop doing it, you can appreciate the lightness or the more simple way of breathing that's not intentionally taking deep breaths. So you might try that now, kind of return to an ordinary breath and appreciate maybe the ordinariness of it, or the lack of that extra effort and force to breathe deeply. And just with a light touch, be aware of your breathing. A light touch that doesn't interfere with your breathing, doesn't have an agenda with it, just there, feeling it coming and going. And as you exhale, without making a lot of effort, just a very light effort, almost as if the lightness of the effort is part of the medicine. As you exhale, lightly relax parts of your body. Being content with just a little bit of softening at a time. Softening in the face. Softening in the shoulders. Softening in the belly. And then settling into your breathing. And if it's easy enough to feel this, have there be a light connection with your body and the movements of breathing. Feeling that part of the movement that feels free. The movement that feels like it moves easily, lightly, even if it brushes against tightness, pressure, and with this emphasis on lightness, as you exhale, to lighten up in the mind, maybe a sense of soft touch in the mind. And if there is anything that's heavy or challenging for you as you're sitting here, thoughts or feelings, sensations, see if the mindfulness of it can be light. Almost like mindfulness is a soft feather that gently brushes across whatever difficulty there is. Or awareness is a soft cotton ball that gently touches what's heavy or difficult, and then gently pulls away, lightly touches briefly, with no force, no insistence, just a gentle, almost like a gentle hello. whatever mental effort you're making to be aware, mindful here in the present moment, can that effort have a lightness to it, easing up so there's an ease in how you're encountering whatever is happening here, moment by moment. With a light touch of awareness, it can sometimes feel as if whatever the experience is of the moment, that it is touching you lightly. And if there is any suffering or distress or fear or difficulty, when we can feel it lightly, the light touch, the feather touch, then there is more room for compassion, for care, for kindness. To touch our challenges with a light touch of awareness. So there's room for a tenderness. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to bring to mind some person or animal for whom it's easy for you to have a warm regard, love or friendliness, kindness, maybe in admiration of a kind. So someone for whom it's easy to have goodwill. And think of this person or this animal with a light touch, so that the awareness of it is not mixed up with desires and fears, and it's just very simple. The lightest touch of goodwill, love, that needs nothing in return, that's asking for nothing. Love with a light touch. And then that light touch of love, imagine that it has a door that you can open, a wide door that opens up, and the same light touch of love or care, kindness, can be extended to all the people in your life that you know. They don't have to know you're doing it. A light touch of kind regard in all directions. And with a light touch, a lightness of heart, opening your goodwill up in all directions to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. So hello and welcome to our Monday gathering, and today I'm at the Insight Retreat Center. It's lovely to be in this meditation hall, and The topic for this week is compassion, and to talk about it in a particular way, building on 2 weeks ago, the theme was compassion as well. So I'm kind of building on this. And last week, the topic was different ways of being aware. And the importance of that for compassion is that if we only have one way to be aware, that mode of awareness might not be the best and healthiest way for us to be present for suffering in ourselves and suffering in others. It might be, for example, if someone mostly is aware through feelings, and that's the only way they know how to know anything is through the vehicle of feelings. Some of the suffering in the world might just feel too much, and our own suffering might feel too much. It's important to feel, but it's also important to find the awareness that we can be present for something where we're not weighed down by what the experience is. And so someone who feels a lot might be able to shift a little bit into an observing mode, maybe observing kind of from a little bit of distance. Or they might be more in a not feeling so much, but kind of a clear mental recognition of what's happening. And that the feelings are still there, but coming into the mode of recognition, knowing, oh, this is pain, this is someone's sadness, that then it might be easier to be present for it. You might be able to find a place of a light touch, being present in a way that has a certain degree of ease or lightness in the awareness itself. Then that becomes that lightness or that ease or the little bit of calmness around how we're aware, that makes room for compassion to arise, rather than distress to arise, rather than fear or alarm arising. And so the mode in which we're aware can affect how we can have compassion. And then also, if we're compassionate, the mode in which we're relating to things, the mode in which we're aware, can affect how we enact the compassion, how we live from that compassion. And so the compassion is lived in a way that maybe it's not so heavy, or doesn't come from a sense of duty, or doesn't come from a sense of doesn't mixed up with fear or ego or all kinds of things that can be there. So what I'd like to do this week is offer you what I'm calling the 7 factors of compassion. And they're the same as the common Buddhist list of the 7 factors of awakening. And so the first one is mindfulness. So the mindfulness factor of compassion, the investigation factor of compassion, the effort factor of compassion, the joy factor of compassion, the tranquility factor of compassion, the concentration factor of compassion, and the equanimity factor of compassion. And what's kind of lovely is that when we live from compassion, the 7 factors of awakening follow along. And the first one being mindfulness, there's a way in which coming from a compassionate place, responding to things compassionately, brings with it mindfulness. Mindfulness is kind of comes along without any real having to work at it. People who only practice mindfulness, there are times where it's kind of worked, like it feels like you're doing the mindfulness. Okay, here I've drifted off, I have to come back and I have to do it again. And but when compassion is in the forefront, there's a way in which mindfulness can follow effortlessly. It's not like we have to work at being mindful. And so same thing for the other factors. So to make this easier to understand this, I would like to give a kind of a school playground example. Say you're visiting a playground and there's a small child, maybe a 5-6-year-old child, 4 or 5-year-old child, who's playing, having lots of fun in the playground. But then the child trips and scrapes her, maybe she scrapes her knee. She's wearing shorts, and so the knee rubs across the asphalt, and gets scraped, and maybe it's dirty and there's a little gravel, and so she's quite stunned and shocked that she was having so much fun, and now suddenly she's in pain, she's confused, she's upset and in pain, and a relatively common schoolyard kind of injury. And so she comes running to you, and so you feel her distress, you feel her, see that she has a wound. But this, you've had this for yourself in playgrounds, you've seen it before. This is a kind of common thing. She's going to be fine. What she needs is someone who just cares for her, is present in a calm way, and begins taking care of her in a nice way. And so you decide that she calms down, and so you're going to, with compassion and care, you want to clean her wound, because there's gravel and grit in there, and so, but it hurts to touch it, even with a flow of water. So you get maybe a soft cotton ball or something, that's moist, and you very lightly tap the wound in order to pick up some of the dirt that's there. And you do it with, you really don't want to hurt her. You care about her, you want to settle her, you don't want to agitate her more. So there's this love and care to do this as carefully as you can. And so you bring your attention into that, you're paying attention to her very carefully to see what the response will be when you touch. So you can pull back quickly if it stings her too much. And so, but just very gently, and you're very careful about how quickly you do it, the pressure you put on the wound. There's a lot of attention. What's driving the attention is the compassion, the care for the girl. What follows in the wake of that care is a lot of mindfulness, a lot of attention there, to really be present, to take in the situation. No one needs to tell you, be aware, pay attention, be mindful, come back to the present moment. That just follows along with this deep motivation to care for this person and to be attentive in a nice way to not cause, more pain for her. And not only do you have to, there's a lot of awareness and attention there, there is what in Buddhism is called investigation, which is to be very discerning about what causes more pain and what causes less, what supports her, what doesn't support her, what kind of tone of voice to speak, what tone of voice not to speak, partly taking in the cues from her, and as you speak and as you say things, and so there's a lot of care, not only in being present, but in making distinctions between what is useful here and what is not useful. The compassion takes the lead, and this idea of kind of being considerate about what's going to hurt her more and what's going to hurt her less is kind of effortless. It's like obvious, of course. If you want to carefully care for her wound and to clean it and put a bandage on, of course you're going to try to pay attention to the way to do it that causes the least amount of pain for her, or least amount of distress. So it's tuning into all these little factors and what's useful and not useful. And so what's in the lead here is compassion. So one way to develop mindfulness is to be compassionate. One way to be compassionate is to be mindful, is to develop your capacity to be aware in a light way, in a calm way, in an open way, so that then the tenderness, the warmth of your heart has room to be there. When we're aware in a heavy way or strong way, or if we're angry and we're being aware, the anger doesn't give much room. If we're full of desires, if we're full of fear, there's not much room for anything to arise in the field of awareness. But if we can learn the art, even with fear and anger and distress, the art of having a light touch, a lightness, an easefulness and a mindfulness, just that, you might find that there's a little more space to have care and love and compassion and kindness for yourself, for the distress you have, and for others, for the difficulty they have. And then once the compassion is there, to let that be in the forefront, to act on that, to live that way, to have compassion. Maybe not in such a way that everyone knows you're being compassionate, because that might be a little bit too much for some people. But you care. You're bringing a caring and a kindness to your things, to people and events. And then notice that as you do that, can you notice the easeful way in which you are aware, you're mindful? Can you notice the matter-of-fact, obvious way in which you're investigating? You're making distinctions between what supports the situation and what doesn't, what's helpful and what's not helpful. That compassion is wise. Compassion, when we act on it or live motivated by it, brings along a lot of different factors that support the compassion, without sometimes even needing to think about it, provided that we don't get locked in with the compassion, or alarmed, or fearful, or dutiful, and the compassion doesn't become heavy. When there's a lot of suffering in the world, you might feel obligated. I have to be heavy. I have to be serious. My compassion has to be strong now. The paradox of all this is that the best form of compassion that we can have is not strong compassion. Or heavy compassion. It's light compassion. It's calm compassion. It's compassion that has lots of room for things, including lots of room for yourself. And it's that kind of compassion that brings along with it attention, attentiveness, mindfulness, and that brings along with it discerning about what's helpful and not helpful, or that question, looking and seeing, what here is helpful? All with a light touch. All with a kind of light touch that is sustainable for compassion over a long time. And that's one of the things we're looking for in compassion, is sustainable compassion. Because compassion that is heavy or strong, or that's too tight and connected with other kind of challenges we have, we'll have compassion fatigue. We'll get exhausted very quickly. But this lightness, a light touch. So maybe think of living a life of compassion, is more like a marathon than a sprint. And so a marathon also, you kind of start off with a kind of a light run. And so the 7 factors of compassion that follow along, built on compassion. And today I mentioned 2, mindfulness and discernment, or investigation. And you might see as you go about your day to day, maybe try to have a light touch with your awareness, but to have a light compassion, or a light care, or light love, or kindness, that allows there to be room for attention, awareness of what is happening in this field of kindness, what's happening in this field of compassion. And then maybe start seeing how mindfulness can follow compassion, how discernment follows, and see how those work together. And maybe you'll find that it's even easier to be mindful and develop your mindfulness if it's guided by compassion than if it's guided by a sense of, it's good for you or something. So thank you. And so we'll continue from IRC tomorrow. And thank you for being here.